Hey, this is Hunter Wiley with The Kingdom Business Owner. Today I have my very good friend, Matt Shoup, and we talk about leading with vulnerability, leading with humility as a Jesus-following entrepreneur. There is some absolute gold in this episode. You are not going to want to miss today, so tune in. All right. Well, hey, welcome to The Kingdom Business Owner. I'm with my good friend, Matt Shoup. Man, one of my favorite people on earth. What's up, brother? Good to see you.
What's up, man? How are you?
Dude, we met on stage, really, at an event. I think that was the first time that we had ever, like, where our paths crossed. It was Samson's event. We're both speaking 3-4 years ago.
Yes.
And that just sparked a friendship, man, of two guys who love Jesus, who love business, who love people.
And only wear black shirts.
And only wear black shirts.
Podcast.
Yeah.
Because I came back with a beard.
I know. Like so I'm growing on you a little bit, dude, because if you're growing the beard, it's maybe because of me. So I don't know. Yeah. Maybe not. I'm not sure. But
I thought it was a little scruffy. You remember that? We were on the podcast. I don't know about that.
Yep.
Now I'm back with it.
Now we're back, baby.
I'm keeping it.
Matt Shoup, great to have you, brother. Give us like the 2-minute overview of who is Matt Shoup, beloved son of God, entrepreneur, all the things. Give us the overview.
Yeah, like starting from the top, right? The foundation, love Jesus.
Yeah.
Found him in a really crazy way, right? I should be dead in prison and like not sitting here with you talking about any kind of business success or story or anything, just from, you know, how I came up. But I mean, I found my space in business. I found out that I'm pretty unemployable. I think just like you, we've talked about that offline, but yeah, found business, specifically the marketing and the sales and just the creative way to go hustle stuff up, like from a young age.
Yeah.
So business has always been my passion and own a number of them. And like we're in a lot of different transitional phases with some are starting, growing, closing, some we don't know what we're going to do with them, you know? And it's been a cool journey of a couple of decades, but married to my wife, Emily, we're going to be 21 years here.
Come on.
In a couple of months. And my son, Riley's 17. While he's going into senior year. You've seen him.
Total
You
stud. Roll
up, you ever at Loveland In-N-Out Burger. He looks just like me. He's more handsome.
Yeah, he
Go
is.
say hi to Riley.
Yeah.
He won't give you any free food because they can't. And then we've got a 14-year-old daughter, Haley, and she'll be starting high school. So we've been in Loveland, Colorado, northern Colorado since I was 10 years old. Came out here from Jersey when I was just a little hellion.
Come on, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I've heard your story so many times because I've like been to so many of your talks.
Yeah.
But for those of the folks that are listening and that don't know some of your story about like your upbringing, how you came to know Jesus, can you like just, I mean, you feel okay to rehash that?
Totally. Yeah.
Okay.
No, I love sharing. I actually like sharing that more than the business story. And we'll talk business today, right? Because we're talking to business owners. But no, I just grew up in a super, super chaotic environment. Like I just remember being afraid a lot. I got bullied. I got picked on. We grew up in northern New Jersey. So it was just a melting pot of all different cultures and communities. And I just never felt like I fit in anywhere. And you're talking, 80s in New Jersey growing up. You kind of knew where you were in the pecking order. So I got picked on, I got beat up a lot. And then I didn't come from an environment or come home to an environment where we talked about God, talked about Jesus, and that's just how it was, right? So I just remember being a kid, like I wanted to be a professional baseball player. I remember watching like WWF back in the day, like wanting to be a professional wrestler, and just having those dreams as a kid. You go out into the world, and it was just tough. So I felt alone. I was scared, and we left New Jersey. I just saw a lot of things, man, growing up. Like I saw just violence and drugs, and I had a 16-year-old kid when I'm like 8 years old pull a knife out and pin me up against a wall in an alley because I mouthed off to him, right? So he's checking me.
Of course.
Like, I'll cut your guts up in an alley. Like, stuff like that. It was just wild. So, yeah, we move out here. 10 years old, moved to Loveland, Colorado. And I remember that summer, like, kind of bored, wanted a boom box. And needed to go make money. So I picked weeds at the go-kart track there over on Carpenter Road, 287. And then I cut grass and shoveled snow. See, you asked me about my faith. I'm talking about business. But I'm a business guy growing up, right?
Yeah.
But so I found, and I'll tie it into the faith here in a second. But found a lot of security and stability and purpose, and maybe I'd say calling in business. But I think an over dependence on self-worth and net worth
Yes.
with making money. Like if I'm making money, I'm worth something. So then what do you do to feel like you're worth more of something as you go pursue money, right? So I was good at it. Then there was also this chase of it.
Yeah.
So growing up, I go through elementary, middle school, high school. I landed at CSU, so I was pretty quiet in high school. Did a little bit of sports, a little bit of weight training, but I got to CSU. I was there 99 to 03. Had a college painting company come and recruit me. I think we might have been at the same, we had that same background.
The same background.
We talked about that on the pod. But during that time, started hanging out with a lot of people in college where it's like, hey, we're making money, we're having fun. I'm 4.0 in it Monday through Thursday, and then Friday through Sunday, like we're going out and we're doing, drugs and alcohol and women, and still no God in the picture, right? I had a couple of friends in high school that went off and joined a cult, so I'm like, that's kind of weird. Any experience I had with Christians in the middle school, high school years was always strange, it was always weird, it felt judgmental. Yeah. And then I'd step into those circles, and I was rough, right? Like, I used profanity. I didn't fit in, and it was just this overcasting of judgment. So I'm like, if that's how you guys are, then you can have that. Wasn't an environment where I felt loved, accepted. So just don't want anything to do with it. But I'm getting pretty wrecked for a good run of a good year, that whole first year of college. And I get to an evening one point where I'm in a field close to overdosing. I mean, it almost overdosed in Las Vegas 2 weekends prior to that. I mean, like we do all the drugs, man. Like we pulled out the cocaine, like we ran out of cocaine. Just massively miserable, hurting, in pain, thinking these people are my friends, like blackout in Vegas, wake up. I mean, just craziness. But that leads me to January 2001. Strike a New Year's, midnight, right? We're now in 2001. It's 1:30 in the morning, and I'm just wrecked again, standing in the middle of a field just west of Rams Village there on Elizabeth and Skyline. You know the area. It's not far from here, and it's freezing cold, and I've got to get home. And I live down over in the Northfield condos over on Prospect and Shields. Yeah. So I'm like, I think Skyline pops out on Prospect. I'll just jam straight. So I just start running. Like I'm freezing. It's cold. It's January, Colorado. And I'm getting colder and colder and colder. And I'm getting lost in this neighborhood because that street doesn't go through.
Right.
So I end up in the yard of just a random homeowner trying to climb a fence. And I'm like fighting, cursing, trying to climb this fence. And an brown Astrovan pulls up and grabs me and like throws me down on the hood, puts me in handcuffs. And I'm super confused, like I'm getting cuffed up by the Fort Collins PD. They bring in the car, throw me in the back of the police car, right? Up to that moment of just living life, anybody that was like talking about God or even leading me towards that was in a very judgmental, you're going to burn in hell, if you don't repent, right? There was no connection there. So I'm in the back of this police car, I'm wasted. And this cop starts to drive me home, and at first he's coming down on me. Did you could die? And he was just another one of these voices, right? And then all of a sudden, like there was just like a shift, and I still remember this, although I'm intoxicated. Like I still remember this vividly. The air changes, man, or something in him changes. He's like, "Hey, what's your story? What are you doing at 2 a.m? Wasted in a field? Like, why are you doing this?" He's like, I pick you guys up a lot, and it doesn't always end well. And he just starts talking to me, like just loving on me, asking about my story. And like I knew Jesus was calling me in these different ways, and I was running. And what's super crazy about this is this guy didn't profess to be a Christian. He didn't claim to be a Christian. He didn't read me any Bible verses, right? And I'll get into like why this is important in a second. He just loved on me. I mean, he goes, "Listen, you got 2 options here. I can take you to detox," which is, you get arrested, get the ticket, take you to detox. He's like, "Or when we talk a little bit, and if you can tell me how to get home, I'll take you home." I'm like, "Well, I know how to get home. I'm like, just go straight." He's like, "You can't go through the yard." So I think he's testing to see how coherent I am. He takes me back to my condo, and he lets me out of the car, and he actually handcuffs me. I wasn't officially arrested. I was detained. And, he just starts walking me up to the front door, and he's like, "Man, I just want you to know, like, you're loved, and I hope you make better decisions." He didn't go slap a Bible verse or anything like that. And I don't know who the officer is to this day because I've tried to find out. But he had the control, the power, the authority to punish me, to cast judgment, throw me in the slammer, throw me in the drunk tank, throw away the key, embarrass me, right? Like what's been done from a lot of Christians, and we don't do it perfect, man, right? Like being on this side, I know I've done that. And he just shows me grace and compassion and some space and some love. And like that hit me. I don't know if he was a Christian, which is crazy, right? And I went home and got really sick, woke up the next day, and I was like, man, how many times could I have died? I've got all this opportunity in business. I had spent a semester in, it wasn't Spain yet, but I had all these opportunities, right, working with college painters. I'm getting ready to head off for a semester in Spain, and I'm like, I need to make a decision of if this is true or not. Because anytime these other Christians were sharing their story in the way they were, I'm like, you guys are crazy. And here's why it's not. I was always looking for why it didn't work out.
Right.
So I read Case for Faith and Case for Christ by Lee Strobel.
So good.
Because somebody's like, oh, yeah, he was an investigative journalist and actually went out to prove that this is all BS. I'm like, cool, I want to read that so I can lock it down.
Hammer them.
And fly the final middle finger at you guys, right? And then I'm like, wait, that wasn't the conclusion of that story. So, yeah, it was January 14th, just 2 weeks after that happened in 2001, gave my life to Christ. And
jeez, bro.
Been a journey, man. Yeah, been a journey.
So good, man.
Yeah.
So good. I've always been so encouraged and impressed with just the way that you relate to people, and also that you took that experience and then brought it into, man, just how you do your life. Like you've like made your whole deal about pouring into people. And I know that part of you pouring back into people comes from that moment, dude, where God used a broken man to change something.
Yeah. It really is.
So good, man.
And if you would have had me on the podcast, you wouldn't have had me on the podcast even 2 years ago, because you wouldn't have known if I was a Christian or not.
What's changed?
Because you can't compartmentalize it, right? Like I'm on a 24, 25 year journey with Jesus. Yeah. And it was like, cool, you're figuring it all out at first, right? He's just like stripping you down. I mean, like never touched drugs again after that day. Alcohol, that took a little, a little bit of time. Certain things take a little bit of time, but just as you're journeying, I think the last thing for me, and I would encourage anybody, like, once you commit, you gotta let people know. You gotta stand boldly and tall and firm and draw that line. I didn't do that. I would just keep it in. Like if somebody asked, I'm a Christian, really? Well, are you? Because we're called to share that with others, like to be the example. You can't just talk. You can't be like these Bible box preachers screaming at somebody. You've got no connection to them. You've got no relationship with them. You're totally irrelevant to them. It's not how you share the gospel, in my opinion. You've got to connect with somebody. But I hit it, and I was, I wouldn't say ashamed of it. I think concerned how putting that out there, especially in the business environment, would have others perceive me. Yeah. And that might cost me business.
Has it?
Yeah.
Has it cost you business?
It's costing us everything right now.
That's real, man.
Yeah.
That's real. And does it feel worth it?
Yeah. Yeah, I think on the other side, when you're doing it, dude, it's not easy.
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, God's been all over your story. I mean, I think even just in our friendship over the last couple of years, I have seen that in you as well. I've seen more of the boldness, more of the like, hey, I'm maybe just making assumptions, so correct me if I'm wrong. But what it felt like was, you love Jesus, but then you'd go out and just be a savage like all day for him, but you wouldn't be with him. And then you come back to the kingdom, but you weren't doing it with him. And now, I mean, I've seen you like,
oh, dude, it was me.
That's what I'm saying.
I grew the business. I did this. Like, go read the bio or watch the speaking. Yeah. Remember your first video? Mm-hmm. Think back to that, like, first time, you know? Yeah. You're like, man, it was, I wasn't giving him the glory, wasn't giving him the credit. I would even say things weren't built, even on that foundation. Like, you're a high driving entrepreneur, right? And I know you have a lot of people on the show that are. We build so many things, and they build up and they build up and they build up, and you're like, I got this until one little thing shifts, one little thing moves, and it can happen like that. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you've got all the weight of that. Yes. And it's wild. So you've got to build everything on that foundation of Christ and let people know. It doesn't necessarily mean that they have to follow Christ to work here, to be part of your organization. I think some organizations lean more that way that they need to be. And there's debate there. Right?
Totally.
But you've got to let people know.
Yeah, man. That's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard lots of different Christians that, would say, well, just, preach the gospel and use words when necessary. And part of me is like, yeah, appreciate that. Love that at times. And also, like, we have to be bold. Like, they have to know, why am I so filled with hope when it doesn't make any sense? Why am I so filled with peace when everything is crumbling down?
Yeah.
Why do I have a light when there's darkness all around me? Like, those are the things that you have to have an answer for, and you have to, like, use your words for.
Yeah.
But also, it can't just be words, because that just falls flat.
And it's easy to say, like, oh yeah, I've got hope and peace when things don't make sense. It's easy to say that and have that when everything's making sense, right?
Dude, it's a good word.
I'm finding that. Like, I'm even finding, like, where am I in my walk? Like right now with a business, like we have a business that we're closing.
Yeah,
we had a gym. We had a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym that was a great idea. It was a great start. It was a great run, and things changed and shifted in terms of just ability to complete the mission, how it was set out, and it's closing. And it's like, man, that doesn't make sense. Like, that wasn't supposed to be in the cards. And then that ties into something else. It ties into something else, and it's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
So I'm in it. Like, I'm in it right now.
You are in it, bro.
Yeah, I'm in it a lot. Yeah. It's crazy.
For sure. And here's the deal. Following Jesus does not mean that it's going to be a smooth ride, and it also does not mean that you're going to have wealth, and it also doesn't mean that you're going to have a thriving business. You can do all the right things and have things not go your way. Like, I don't know if we've talked about this, but man, I've been meditating a lot recently on when Jesus asks the disciples to get on the boat and go across the water, and all the disciples hear Jesus, and they're like, okay, we'll do that. We'll get on the boat. They all get on the boat. The storm comes. Jesus falls asleep. Peter walks on the water. It's that whole story. Yeah. Here's what's been blowing my mind. The disciples heard Jesus' voice, did exactly what he asked them to do. Jesus knew that the storm was going to come. So they were in God's perfect will, and the storm still came. Mm-hmm. You can be in perfect obedience and hear Jesus' voice perfectly and do exactly what he's asked you to do and still be in the storm. Yeah. And I'm just like, oh, man.
And he's chilling right there next to you.
Yeah.
Right? But you're focused on the storm.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, bro. Yeah. So I think that's why I feel so passionately about being a guy in the marketplace that cares about right theology, because what happens with bad theology is that you think that because you are following Jesus, that things are supposed to be rosy and things are supposed to be good and you're supposed to have a bunch of money, and which is just not the case. You follow Jesus and listen to exactly what he says, and sometimes there's going to be a storm.
Yeah, it's easier to not.
Yeah.
Like, it's way easier to not.
For sure,
or not have it built on that.
Totally, dude. Yeah. Totally.
Because when you do that, and I think, like, I love working with faith-based businessmen, business leaders, and pouring into them, like, just sharing all parts of my story. Yeah. So it's like, we got to show up as men, whole.
Yes.
And in all domains of our life, especially our faith. And it's like, we can so grind into, like, yep, this is all built on me and this is everything. But when a man finds his strength and finds his power and finds his calling and brings it into the business world and has a platform to impact people, that man's a threat. That man's dangerous, right?
Amen.
And Satan doesn't want that, right? So, like, that's gonna get attacked
for sure.
So for me, like, when that's happened to me, it's like, let me just pull back and just go make a cool, X amount of dollars, whatever that is, and like, let's hold that back
for sure.
Yeah, and that's, like, literally where I'm at right now. Do I just go back to that? It's like an easy button.
Yes,
right there, or do we just go all in, man, and go?
It's a good word, man. Yeah, that's a really good word.
So,
and I think that's probably the tension that a lot of people who are listening, and every entrepreneur comes to these moments of, they're like, man, do I do the easy thing, or do I go all into what God's called me to and asked me to, even though it feels like such a risk and feels unbelievably scary? Mm-hmm. And that's the mark of a kingdom entrepreneur. Mm-hmm. The one that's like, dude, I'm gonna go all in, even though it literally does not make any sense.
Yeah. And then you're gonna get smacked around.
You're gonna get smacked. It's not gonna be easy. You're gonna get hit with a storm, and there's probably 3 or 4 more storms down the road that you're not seeing, but I know it's coming, but you're still in my perfect will.
Yeah. Yeah.
And here's the deal. Scripture is so clear that if our heart's desire, even if we're confessing, my heart's desire is Jesus, but if my heart's desire is actually just the money and the power, God eventually is going to just give it to us. I believe that wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Like eventually he's going to be like, dude, you care so much about the influence. You care so much about the money. Dude, it's become your guy. You can have it. I'm going to give you over to your own desires.
We'll talk about that later, right?
Oof.
Yeah, when it's your time to answer.
Yeah, bro.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which is just, that's when like the quiet times alone with Jesus, where like he really dissects your heart to make sure that the desires are actually good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Scary, bro. Scary. Let me switch gears a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Dude, you wrote an incredible book. And the story of Painted Baby is so good. Can you just give the people that have never read that book the like 2-minute overview of what that book's about?
Yeah, it's that painting a picture of perfection prevents true connection. So you're in business, right? And there's marketing, sales, delivery, administrative, like the basics of business. But then there's people that are involved in that. So like you have to connect with people. You've got to connect with them, contribute to their lives, care for them. That's what pouring to people is. The first part of that is connection, right? And we live in a world, I was just talking the other day about how, 2005, social media is starting to come. You didn't have all this bravado and facade and just fake entrepreneurship and life out there. But like we've got to connect with people, right? So what do we do as business owners to try to build that relationship? Well, hey, Beyond Blue Media, Hunter Wiley, Matt Shoup, whatever the company is, right? We're 98% this and top this and A+ 5-star shiny marketing brochure. Put your perfect foot forward, and that's total bull.
Yeah.
Like that is not who you are. It's not who you are all the time. You actually will connect more with people when you're vulnerable and you're brave and you share your imperfections and you share your screw ups. And I found that out in the craziest way in a pretty high stakes sales appointment. It was a transformational sale that I was either going to get or not get. And I didn't even realize that's what that customer was waiting for, to actually have confidence and faith and truly connect with me.
Tell a story.
Yeah. Well, I gave you the quick two. You wanted the quick two.
I want another quick two.
I'll dive into it, right?
Yeah,
so this
please.
is 2000, it's like 2011. And I'm sitting in this massive mansion on the golf course over in Timnath with a customer that I'd done work for before. M&D painting, right? I started in 2005. I got fired from a bank and grew this thing pretty quick, pretty fast. But I mean, it was all me. It was a lot of work. We were making great money, but we were just at this point where it was burned out, and we needed to bring people into the business, but we didn't have the money in front to bring the people. So I'm sitting about to close a deal that's 20 times the size of the biggest deal that I had ever closed. It is that's a transformational gig, right? Thinking your business 20 times, 20x. Yeah. And I'm like, well, man, dude, like I've worked with him before. Check that box, right? I've got my shiny marketing brochure. It's got all of our reviews and photos and beautiful story and A+, like everything's beautiful. So I come in there, and we come from that old school kind of hardcore closing background. I'm going to come in and give them the options and drop the pen. So I'm just polishing my presentation with him. And I come in and we just start drinking coffee and hanging out. And this guy's like super wealthy, self-made guy. And I slide the contract over. I go, hey, do you want this option or this option? Giving him the either or close. Drop the big heavy pen, and he's a decisive guy, right? He's going to sign this or not, and then we're going to get out of there, get to business. And he slides it back, and he goes, yeah, I just don't know if I'm ready. I just feel like I'm missing something, and I'm starting to get confused. So I'm like, well, let me try more features, more benefits, more perfect, great, matte, M&E. Slide the contract back over. Hit him with another different style of close. He's like, yeah, no. So we're back and forthing this thing. And I was starting to get frustrated, and I open up this packet. I'm like, dude, we've worked for you before. Like one of these perfect pictures in here is your job that we did like 3 months ago. So I just keep leaning into how awesome we are. And he picks this brochure up, and he tosses it across his office, like slams off the bookcase down on the floor. And he goes, you need to tell me about a time that you screwed up and what you did about it, and knock off all this perfect nonsense. And he said something else.
Oof.
And I was like, no one's ever asked me that before. Like, when have you ever been in a sales appointment, or when do you ever talk to your team, right, in communication and relationship building, to go out and say, like, there's time your company screwed up. Totally. Talk about that and what you learned and how it made you better. I didn't know what to do. So I'm like, one time we painted the wrong wrong color on a house. The paint store mixed up the paint wrong. And he's like, yeah, that seems pretty common. Yeah, it's pretty common. So you got to do better than that. It's almost like he knew what I'm about to share.
Yeah.
I was like, well, we actually got the right color once. We did it on the wrong house. And he kind of leans in, right? So this is something I'll never forget. He leans in. He's like, really? He goes, tell me about that. So I shared this. That's a bad day. Like, that's a bad day. You're not supposed to go out and paint a house if you don't have a contract. This happened. There's a street with 2 streets. One's a drive, one's a court, same addresses. And our crew goes over to the cul-de-sac when we're supposed to be on the main drive. And we prepped and scraped and caulked this entire house. And he's just sitting here cracking up. He's like, well, how'd that go? What'd you do about it? I'm like, well, we fixed it. We made it right. He goes, okay. So he connected there. He's like, okay, there's a chink in the armor. There was a time that M&E didn't do so well. And he goes, well, I'm still not going to sign the contract. And I'm just like, I'm a sales guy at heart. I'm like, what is it going to take? He goes, I just feel like you got something else. All right, man. Well, I guess I'm going to tell you about the time we painted a baby. How about that? And he just goes silent. He's like, you did what? I said, we painted a baby. So right after Windsor tornado, this is 07, 08, we're painting this entire street over in Water Valley, right? We were just working our way down the street, working with roofers, doing these paint jobs. And we had a stay-at-home mom, husband's off at work, 9-month-old baby. She's a sweetheart. She would come out to the crews every day in the morning. She'd have a big cooler full of drinks. She'd bring them out snacks and lunch, just awesome. And I had a pair of brothers that were on a paint crew, Bloss and Raul. Bloss is the real serious one. He's just get to work, head down, staying quiet. Raul's the class clown, right? So he's always razzing me. Oh, Matt, I paint the deck on accident. Sorry. And he spoke Spanish as his first language, and that's my second. So we'd like Spanglish and, rip on each other in both languages. So he's always razzing me like once a week. And I'm 20 minutes away over at a bank, and they're just getting ready to wrap up this job. Like, it was a smooth day. House is going great. Customers happy. Everything's awesome. And they're going to spray all the metal, right? So they're going to spray front door, garage door, other parts of the house. And I come out of the bank, and I had missed 9 phone calls from him, just back to back to back to back to back. Like, I should probably call him. Get on the phone. Soon as he connects and picks up, I hear him screaming, Mateo, my gosh, come quick, the paint, the boom, the baby. And like, mom's screaming, baby's crying, Raul's screaming. I'm like, what's going on? He goes, I paint the baby, and hangs up the phone. So I rush over to the job site and pull up. Bloss is in the truck, just folding up, drop cloths covered in paint. There's a trail of paint going up the driveway. And I come around the side of the house. And Raul's down on his hands and knees just scrubbing. There's paint everywhere, man. Flagstone, grill, landscape, fence, everywhere it wasn't supposed to be. He's getting ready to spray a door, black semi-gloss paint, goes to pull the trigger, and the tip had just jammed. It's like I've never had it happen before, ever. I don't know how it happened. And right as he did that, and that paint explodes, Mom had come out with baby. She's just admiring the paint job. I don't even think he knew she was there. Paint everywhere, all over the mom, all over the baby. So I'm back with Bill in this sales environment, right? Like, when do you share that ever in life or your faith as a kingdom business owner, right? When you're in an engagement or an arrangement where it might lead to business. Like, that's not the best day in our office. But like, that is your most powerful story building tool. Because I'm sitting here and I'm continuing to tell the story, and he's pulling, Bill's pulling it out of me, and he's like, well, man, that's pretty bad. Well, how'd you fix it? So I told him how we fixed it. Baby was okay, and we made it right. And he's like, all right. I go, well, I guess show me the door. Like, send me out of here. I'm not going to land this contract. And he's like, all right, man, well, cool. That's what I was looking for. Signs it, gives me the money down. And he's like, you're the kind of guy I want to do business with. I was waiting for that from you. He's like, because you don't show up. He's like, you've always done right by me. He's like, but there's times that you don't, and I want to know what happens when that happens. So that's painted baby, man.
So freaking good, man.
Yeah.
I've heard that story 4 or 5 times, and every time I hear it, I always get so convicted, because I'm like, man, where in my life am I not leading with real authenticity? Yeah. Because I want to lead with my painted baby story, because it just makes me think of, man, there's this verse that I've been leaning into of, God gives me his grace, which is sufficient for me. And I get to walk in my weakness, and he gets to make his strength known because of my weakness. Yeah. And so, although Painted Baby is not like written for Christian entrepreneurs, it is such a biblical deal, because I want to walk with my painted baby story all over me. So that when things go really well, man, only God could be glorified.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
Like only God could be glorified through this. And so, dude, it feels so good, so timely. You know, let me ask you this question. We're both in the Foundry. We both, we're around a lot of kingdom entrepreneurs right now in this current climate. I don't know when this podcast is going to post, but it feels like there's a lot of Jesus following entrepreneurs that are in hard times. Like business is hard, it's tough, it's brutal. How do we lead out of this place of humility, meekness, my brokenness? How do we lead out of that place when things are really hard?
Yeah. So I'm big on transparency, and I think, you know, especially working with a lot of men, the last thing men want to do is be vulnerable at all. Like that's just characteristic of, man, we got to be tough and we got to have this shell, and business was going well and maybe now business isn't going well. So it's like, if that's the case, just that's what it is. And that's okay. And you're going to go through that as an entrepreneur, and you've got to share that, right? Like I think the death of an organization is if you're having a hard time and you as the leader don't acknowledge that, recognize that. It sucks, but okay, this is where we're at. This is where we need to go.
Yeah, preach.
And you don't want to try to motivate your team out of fear or freak them out, but it's like, this is what we got to do, guys.
Yeah.
We need to make some changes or some pivots or some shifts or whatever that is, and you've got to just step into that, and you've just got to be real and authentic with that. So I think that's the first thing. I know when I'm literally in that, like right now as we speak, reaching out to other people, other faith-based business owners and leaders. Man, those are your brothers and your sisters, and you've got to go do that. You can't do it alone, right? Because again, man, that's like, you know, who wants to walk into me? You want to walk in there. Business is up and numbers are up. This is great. And that's what we're
feels really good.
Supposed to be doing. Right? It feels really good. So you don't want to step into that, but when you do, it's been so cool, man. I've had some amazing conversations with people. Like you can really tell who's there for you and who has your back and who's really journeying with you when the times are hard. Yeah. You know, because I've spoken to a few people. Hey, man, I'm having some challenges right now. Well, cool, thanks. Like I've got one right now, and I'm like, super interesting. I just read a text message before I came in here. I'm like, he's not down for this ride.
Yeah, for sure.
He's here for the ride when things are going well. Then I got another guy. He literally is dropping everything that he's doing to connect. So
it's real, man.
Yeah, you just got to be there. Yeah, you've got to have that community
for sure.
And then you've got to lean in even stronger to Jesus.
Come on, bro.
And the Word.
That's so
and
good.
People who encourage you and inspire you. And then you got to watch your own voices in your own head, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm thankful that you're one of those people that when things are not going well, I'm going to call. And I do trust that, like, you're a guy that's going to answer, you know, when things are not going well. And ditto.
Because, I mean, we were just having a call 2 days ago.
Yeah. It's real.
Yeah.
It's real, bro. Yeah. I feel honored to be one of those guys, and feel honored that you're one of those guys for me. And also selfishly, bro, part of the reason I created the Foundry is for myself, because I'm like, dude, I need to be around other people who can sharpen me, call me on my BS, and also just guys that understand the stress that it takes to run a business.
Yes.
Because, dude, I mean, our wives don't get it. I mean, maybe Emily does. I don't know. But most people's wives, most people's like friend groups don't get what it's like to have the stress of payroll and, I mean, top line revenue, bottom line revenue, the balance sheet, the whole deal.
Yeah.
But you get it. Like, you can understand my stress and like sleepless nights and all the things.
Yeah.
So we desperately need community, bro.
Yeah, business owners do. And then, you know, even what I found is faith-based of Jesus-following business owners, there's lots of other peer advisory groups where they do the check-ins, the accountabilities, bring in the speakers, have the education, do the coaching, right? Like there's always components to lots of amazing groups. I've been part of a number of them, but there's another level when you bring Jesus into it. You can't shut that door and go into your business mastermind or whatever that is and not bring that in if that's a part of your life. And that's what's super unique about the Foundry. And you get real there. And it's like that's the number one place you need to go. And I have, you know, recently like reached out, hey, you know, I need some help here. Yeah. And they can only go so far if they don't have that alignment. There's another piece. There's another component to that they don't understand. And there's nothing against somebody who doesn't. Yeah. They just don't speak that language or have that belief.
Yeah. Bro, that's real. That's real. Because you and I have both been there. We're there frequently. when it feels like back's against the wall.
Yeah.
And we have got to fight out of this. How do we not do that out of our own strength? How do we lead in humility, but still like our back's against the wall and we have to be savages for Jesus and for our families and for our business and fight for the things that God's called us to? How do you in the past, currently, just overall, like how do you deal with that? What's your encouragement for others who feel like their back's against the wall?
Yeah, so I'm thinking of it from like a faith, a biblical perspective, my personality and how I used to do it, and then an example about Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I think they all tie in, right? Like your personality, just how you're wired, how God's wired you, is going to have a certain kind of response when that stuff happens. Like some people get real quiet, some people get real inquisitive, some people come out swinging. You know, you look at Peter, man, they're coming to grab Jesus, like whoosh, slices the guy, right?
You're Peter for sure.
I am. That doesn't always work,
right?
And I've seen, so like right now, I'm just learning to sit more patiently, quietly, not making decisions right away. Like I'm in a time right now when I've got to make some big decisions, but I'm like, you got to be wise, you can't be hasty, and how do you balance that? But like Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, right? The goal with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is you can have a 100-pound person, like a 100-pound female that is trained in Jiu-Jitsu, gets attacked by a 200-pound man, right, that is bigger, stronger. She can control him, take him to the ground, and ultimately choke him, crank his arm, whatever. But it's somebody that's bigger, stronger, has more resources than you, and you don't do that by fighting force on force. So a couple of lessons from jiu-jitsu. I remember my first class. I went in. I'm a big jacked meathead, 2007, like made some money, M&E, Matt, like super arrogant, cocky dude. And I go in and I'm like, I want to try this jiu-jitsu thing. I'm gonna fight. I saw that UFC on the TV. And they're like, and I'll circle it back to you, right? Yeah. So they're like, yeah. I go, I want to go with that guy that's in the cage over there. They're like, you don't want to go with that guy in the cage. They're like, let's start you off easy. Go with Timmy. Timmy's 14. You know, I'm 220 pounds. I mean, I was just
Timmy,
jacked, no neck. Timmy's a little kid. Like Timmy's mom signed the waiver. Like he's not 18. He's not 16. Mom drove him there. I think mom was sitting in the bleachers. They're like, go with Timmy. They're like, take it easy on him, big guy. And they just threw me out there. So the goal, they're like, just take him down and just do what everybody else is doing. They didn't tell me much. I'll take him down, get on top of him and choke him or whatever. I'll figure that out. I'm like, cool. So I come full force after Timmy and he takes all that energy, all that momentum and just flips me. He's now on top of me. And I'm like, all right, well, let me throw him off. He grabs my arm and arm bars me, and I had to tap out. So, just going full force, that Peter style. I think if you're aggressive or you're like a high D, high dominant, like get stuff done, you have to do that. But you've got to do it with Jesus and just slowing down a little bit. Like that's what I've learned, and just being patient under pressure, waiting for something else. If you're always trying to solve everything right away, it's like you could have just waited 3 more seconds and that solution might have appeared. You might have had a window. You might have had a little spot. So I'm kind of bouncing around a little bit of those 3 things. But man, you've got to do it with God. You've got to understand how you're wired, and there's strength to that. But there's also, your superpower can also be that Achilles heel, right? Like Hulk smashes things. Yeah, you don't need to smash things all the time. So I'm just learning to slow down and to listen more. And
dude, it's so
just
good.
Be patient.
I resonate so much with that, man. When I'm under pressure, I'm similar to you. We're both similar guys, man. I start swinging, and I end up looking like an idiot because I'm just the guy that's like swinging at nothing, no technique, under the pressure. Yeah. And I think God regularly just looks down and like, dude, what are you doing? Like, so I think there's so much power to what you're saying, man, of slowing down, and even though it could make more sense to make more calls and wrestle yourself out of like the situation and to make your circumstance better with your own strength. Like, yeah, I'm sure you could, but also slowing down and like going on a walk with Jesus, and when you could be making calls, when you could be trying to figure out new deals. And that's, I mean, dude, that's one of the most powerful things that you could ever do.
And just, I love jiu-jitsu, and I unfortunately can't train it anymore. That's been, and I've had kind of an end to my jiu-jitsu training journey. I had a couple of really big surgeries. The last one, like I can't train anymore. Yeah. But when I was spent almost 20 years on the mats, when you're laying there and you've got all this pressure on you, and you're like, I'm about to give up. Like I'm going to give up. Jiu-jitsu is so cool because if you're kicking my butt, I tap and you stop. And we just hit reset. And it's like every time you get under that pressure, you're in that position. You're like, I'm going to give it another half second, another 1 second. Oh, okay, I thought I was going to call it quits and reset here, but I had a little bit more room. And in that room is where that sweet spot is where you can find some windows, find some opportunities. But you know what? Sometimes you just gotta tap out, hit reset. That's totally okay.
So good, dude.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Let's land the plane with this, man. You and I spend a lot of time talking to kingdom entrepreneurs, like regularly. Yeah. Man, we have a lot of those folks in our network, in our circle, and we see a lot of the ways where they drop the ball. We see a lot of ways where they win. Man, what's the biggest piece of advice that you have for the kingdom business owner?
Is live it, don't just say it. I've seen some kingdom faith-based guys, gals, and they're quoting this or they have it up on the wall, and they're not living it out when it counts. Like, it's one thing to say it, it's another thing to be it and do it. And then I'd encourage, just because, man, like, again, 1 year ago would have been a different conversation. 2 years ago, we're not having this conversation. Yeah. Is be bold about that, and you will have people that leave your organization being bold about that. They won't like you. They won't do business with you, but it will attract those that do and want to journey with you. It's like anything else, but you can't just go do it on Sundays.
Yes. At
church, or at your men's group, or at your Bible study. You can't be that everywhere else and then come to your business and be something different.
I love it. Yep. And that's why I love integrating faith and marketplace so much, because, man, that's where people get it twisted, is the Sunday approach. And then I'm just going to go do my entrepreneurial thing by myself the rest of the week.
Yep.
But when it's like, oh no, actually what I'm doing and what I'm creating and building is so holy. Like, this is holy ground. This is holy space, just as holy as my pastor that gets paid a salary from the church. Like, I'm doing real kingdom work.
Yes.
And by paying my people well, by building something that actually benefits the good of others and for the glory of God, like, all those things matter, man.
Yeah.
And so we need more guys like you, dude, who are wanting to build excellent things, whatever it is. Like, whatever, all, you're going to start a lot of businesses, whatever it ends up being, all the things that you have.
I've got that habit. Emily talks to me about that.
I know you do, man. And I love that. We're called to create. I mean, that's one of my favorite books of all time, is Called to Create by Jordan Rayner. And dude, that's always resonated with me so deeply. Is like, this is a calling that we get to partner with God on. So,
and just imagine, like, God's designed you and wired you to be an entrepreneur, and you're following Jesus, and you can serve, pouring into people, right? You connect, you contribute, you care. Those are the 3 C's, right? And your Painted Baby helps you connect.
Yes.
And then from there, find ways to serve them. Be very intentional and contribute however you can. Time, talents, treasure, resources, connections, because you actually really care about them, because somebody's cared about you, and you're just passing that on. So you do all that tactically with everything in business, every playbook of business, but don't share your faith with them. Like, I'm praying with customers about real estate deals. I had one customer decide not to hire me, the real estate side, because I'd mentioned that. Well, I don't want that. Okay, cool. Okay, like, that's fine. But that, I mean, that is the ultimate eternal. You have an opportunity to impact somebody eternally, and you're just keeping it all here. It just seems crazy.
It's the real deal.
It took me 19 years to figure that out. Right?
For sure.
Like, more than that.
Totally.
Yeah.
When someone put it into perspective of, it's almost like we're all in the Titanic, and for those of us that are the believers know that it's coming, and we decide not to tell people, like, hey, this is, like, there is something that's ahead in the water that you guys don't see that I know is coming. And it would be so selfish of me to not be like, guys, we've got to get some of the boats prepared and figure out a plan, right? I mean, that's like the most loving thing you can do.
Yeah, and if your space and your platform and what you're called to is being an entrepreneur, that's the platform.
That's the vehicle
you have. I have a good friend of mine, and met him on the jiu-jitsu mats. He walked into the jiu-jitsu gym, and he's like, man, I want to turn my life around. He came from rough upbringing, had a lot of things stacked against him, and ended up training with him, helping him and his wife buy a house. We've just become good friends, right? And then he's part of our men's mastermind. We have a morning men's group, and we sit and connect once a month. And faith is one of those components. And they're not all faith-based guys. Like, they're not all Jesus followers. So he's sitting there and he's like, yeah, that's dumb, not doing that. Used to be that. And it was just really, really cool. Like, this was right in a moment in a season when I'm sharing more with these guys. I'm like, this is just who I am and what I believe and why I believe it. And he ends up getting baptized and committing his life to Christ.
Bro, preach.
Because he stepped into a business to do jiu-jitsu. It's now closed. To do some real estate, right? Like,
so good, man.
It's crazy. And we're sitting here and like the trajectory of that guy's life because of that has changed. For as impactful as jiu-jitsu was, right? He lost some weight, he got healthy and helped him buy a house. Those are big things.
Yeah.
But they're all done when you die.
Preach, dude.
Like your body's going to go into the dirt. Your house is going to get sold, right?
Yeah. So freaking good. Dude, if that doesn't fire you up right there, I don't know what will, man. Like, that's so good. Any last encouragements? How can people hire you to come speak? Because we've hired Matt to come speak at our groups, at our company. How can people hire you to come do speaking? Because that's like, dude, you are built to communicate.
I love that, man. Yeah, like that's my calling and my passion, and that's what it is. Yeah, just reach out to mattshoup.com.
Okay.
Go to the website. I've got some free tools. I love speaking. Got a couple of books. I wrote an anti-bullying children's book. It was just like a passion project. But yeah, if you've got a group that you need inspired, love to come out and speak. And then I'm getting ready to take a bunch of fathers and sons over to Spain to hike the Camino. A bunch of faith-based dudes and their sons. Just we're doing something that's like eternal for them.
Praise God.
Yeah.
Hey, thanks for being on the pod, brother.
Thanks for having me.